Welcome to the Rise Inside podcast, hosted by Justin Starbird and powered by RISE Robotics. Listen as host Justin talks to experts from the RISE team about topics relating to mechanical engineering, industrial design, commercialization, and innovation. True collaborations work when ideas are integrated at inception to solve significant problems. Rise Inside brings together how the team continues to work with great folks to commercialize ideas. You're listening to the Rise Inside podcast. Here's your host, Justin Starbird.
Welcome back to the Rise Inside podcast. My name is Justin Starbird, and I am so excited because I get to welcome back co-founder and vice president of business development, Arron Acosta, and co-founder and director of industrial design, Dell'Aquilla. Guys, thanks for joining me today. This is so cool.
It's so good to be here, Justin. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, it's really great to have you guys on today. I'm so glad that we have the opportunity to do this. We've been under the radar for the last 18 months. Arron, what have you been up to?
So we've been expanding our size of catalog. And when we were talking a while back, it was the 2-ton class, which has approximately 20 kilonewtons of force. And we were pulling, and that was in the application for lift gates. We also had some projects with the Air Force to adapt and configure the same technology for new things. The thing we've been working on that's really exciting is bigger and better. It's the 20-ton load class, actually 22-ton, which is approximately 220 kilonewtons of force. And we've also added in the ability to push with our compression configuration and our ability to dual action both tension and compression. Those capabilities have been applied to our 2-ton and our 20-ton. So these linear actuators that are competing with hydraulics are now bigger and better.
Certainly, the lab has been a buzz for a while. And Kyle, you must really enjoy this part of it where you get to see the design in action. Tell me what your feelings are right now.
Yeah. It's been a long dream coming to having this key ingredient and me being able to see where it goes on all sorts of vehicles. I love it.
Yeah, our key motion is lift.
Yeah.
Whether it's in our first category, which is in the material handling industry, the sub-segment of the back of a truck for loading and unloading food and beverage and other heavy goods, or at the ports for lifting and lowering containers on the lift trucks or container handling forklifts. Those were our original segments. Because lift is really well served by a highly productive and efficient technology. The productivity means that you can lift and lower more stuff or with the same fleet, or you could do the same work with a smaller fleet. And then the efficiency means that you can do it with less cost, fuel, energy, or longer range, which a lot of people really just want more productivity, more range. And we were also over in the space of, for a long time now, we've been wanting to go into construction.
Sure.
And, we're now entering that segment with some partnerships that are yet to be announced. And then we've also been looking and making inroads into getting started on agriculture, mining, oil and gas, and some industrial applications.
Absolutely. It's been so exciting to see the opportunities come at us to jump into these new industries and see these opportunities come to fruition. And as a result, it's also led to the chance to close rounds of funding. Well, maybe not funding per se, but certainly financing. Do you want to touch a little bit on that?
Yep. My goal has been to balance out the amazing talent that wants to work here with the projects to be done and the financing to float any lumpiness around the other two.
Yeah.
So we were really excited that we had 22 investors participate all together. in a financing totaling $15 million that we disclosed not too long ago. And really excited to have the participation of the Gates Corporation, which is a manufacturer of power transmission products and part of our strategic alliance of the next generation of mechanical motion.
Congratulations on all of your success so far with this. It's been really neat to see this all come together under your watch, Aaron. Really exciting, no doubt. And that certainly led to the next announcement. I'm going to throw it back to you. You have the opportunity to add to the 507 ways of motion in the world today. Talk to us a little bit about what's next.
Yep, it's really exciting. You know, Kyle and I have been figuring out how to describe and explain this, not hydraulic technology for quite a while. A lot of people think that it's some kind of electrical actuator. It's actually mechanical. A lot of people think that it's a screw or some existing mechanical movement or motion technology that they're familiar with. It's not. It's totally novel. It's patented. There's a whole series of, I think there's 7 patent families right now that describe methods of managing belt tension and how do you go from, a reel of belt to a rod that is pushing and pulling at, half ton to 200 tons. So it's been a real hard journey, but I'm really excited about what Kyle cooked up here.
Yeah. I mean, we're cooking up, the whole team is cooking up something that is a system or a family. And I think one of the major components that sets us apart from the usual is that we're able to transform forces, just like how an iron core electric transformer can step up or step down voltage, or chains in a bicycle, or in the case of hydraulics, which we're mainly focused at, we can do the same as varying diameter hydraulic pistons, and we do it through belts. And we use block and tackles. So on the second page of the mechanical movements 507, a lot of our innovation touches on number, I guess, 12 through 22. Those are all block and tackles. And what makes us unique is that we can do all that with belts. And in the industry, hydraulics transform forces all the time, and they can handle shocks and all that. So with belts, we're essentially addressing all the components in the hydraulic circuit in a different approach, but we're achieving all the same functionality with using belts. And the block and tackle is like the centerpiece of it all. And this road came from a place where we saw that the existing systems, whether it's screws or hydraulics, were not suitable for what we wanted to do at the time, which was exosuits. And along that journey, we discovered these various subcomponents. But when all these subcomponents are linked together, we really have something that can do away with a rather old and reliable hydraulic family of components.
Yeah,
and
that's
do
right.
something better.
It's kind of similar to the rope. It's like the return of the rope because it's stainless steel wire ropes that are inside of the belt. But it's better than the rope because it's more highly utilized, and it doesn't have the steel rope on steel pulley problems of focused point contact or the need to lubricate it with oil. So it accomplishes kind of this best of both worlds ability to kind of bring back the old steel cable and pulley systems that launched the heavy machinery industry, but this time, in a more compact, efficient, productive way that makes it possible to really compete with hydraulics. So
yeah, so like in history, a lot of heavy machinery were making use of these wire rope systems. They're very big, really bulky. They're very efficient. And at some point, we kind of transitioned over to hydraulics because they're more convenient, more manageable, easier to install. They're like self-contained system of components. But the trade-off was efficiency. So our belt system is like the best of both those two worlds. So it's a convenient form factor, just like hydraulics. But we have the efficiencies of wire rope and all that.
yeah, but it's a new belt system, right? So it's like, I was talking to my professor, Ed Crawley, from MIT, because he's a, 5-time serial entrepreneur, and he, does a lot of like thinking and writing intellectually about names. And I shared the name of the new technology that, it's a team effort here, right? But Kyle really has like taken it on himself to make sure that he shops around and figures out, of the possible names out there, which one really can be grokked in the mind of the people that we care about, right? And our people are gearheads, they're mechanics, they're engineers, they're kinesthetically inclined about the sounds and the smells and the machinery qualities that we all really enjoy. So it's tough to name a new thing.
Well, truthfully, it's never existed before. And that's a story in and of itself. And I think that's what you're most proud of, or at least that's what I see as the opportunity to tell that story. From the marketing perspective, you're always looking for, to your point, Arron, a tangible piece to attach to and have that be what you're doing. So to see this come together is really, really unique.
Yeah, I mean, you tell someone your name and it immediately gives someone an impression, and then they ask you like, why do you have that name? So, all the time people are like, why RISE Robotics? Well, RISE it's that lift, and some other meanings as well, right? And then why robotics? Well, it's because like you wouldn't call an excavator a robot. And it's important to kind of think about why that is. And it's largely because the control capabilities of hydraulics don't allow for like robotic-like motion. It's not precise. It's not like scary fast. It's not something that you would control like autonomously or remotely. There are great companies out there that are endeavoring to do this. Like Built Robotics is one that comes to mind. And they strap a whole bunch of stuff on top of these like hydraulic excavators to make them more robotic. And then they focus on very specific use cases like robots usually do. But what if like all heavy machinery that used hydraulics was robotic, because you had something that was, as good as hydraulic, but more friendly.
Yeah, like when we go to trade shows or anytime we come across a new person that asks us what is our technology, we say, or they ask us, it's like, what do you do? Well, we start a new business, we have a new technology, and then they say, what is the technology? And you have a very short attention span after that.
So short.
And over time, when you say, oh, RISE linear actuator, they go like, okay, what's inside the
linear actuator?
Yeah, like there'd be 1,001 different ways to describe this new method. And, the name Beltdraulics kind of came about mixing two things that you're familiar with into one. And then when I was trying that out, using the term Beltdraulics, it's just like hydraulics, but with belts, people go, oh, I get it. I understand. I've worked with those before. I know what that is. I've seen those on construction sites. It's within my sphere of knowledge. It also, because it's not a crazy new name in feeling, it's like understandable, it's humble. Like our audience are really blue collar workers that use and work with these.
Yeah, familiar but different, therefore understandable.
Differentiatable.
Right? It's like,
self-contained.
If the name doesn't capture like what it does and what's new about it, then you then have to spend a whole bunch of time talking about it.
It's as good as an acronym, at that point.
Oh man, acronyms are the worst. It's like let's create like an in-crowd concept that prevents understanding and propagation, right? Like that's the last thing we're gonna do is give it an acronym.
Yeah, and then our audience goes like, oh,
rolls eyes.
So boutique.
So with that, Beltdraulic has been announced. Beltdraulic is now.
Yeah, we kind of just did that, didn't we?
Yeah, you kind of just organically say when Kyle just put it out there, and it is now out there. It is here for the world to know about. This is so exciting! Congratulations!
Yeah, thank
you. Yeah,
Beltdraulics for the win.
Yeah, it helps grease. Like we got to have these conversations go quicker. We can't wait on it.
I think people think that we don't like hydraulics, and I think that's a really big misunderstanding. We love machinery of all types, like cranks, sliders, cables, hydraulics, pneumatics, belt hydraulics. We like it all. So everything has its place. And we're just saying that when engineers and fleet operator, owner, buyers, when they get what we're doing here and how transformatively enhancing Beltdraulic is to machines, I mean, it's going to make their machines robotic. And the rise of the robots is going to be the human being inside of a Beltdraulic machine.
Moving at the speed at which they can freely move their hands at.
Yeah, like a lot of people are probably familiar with
Human amplifier.
turtle to rabbit.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of the excavator.
Yeah.
If you're a pro, you crank your sensitivity way up, all the way to full power rabbit mode. I mean, if you have robotic technology, like it levels the playing field. It makes it so the shaping of the motion by the computer control is not limited by the mechanical control in the valve and the rod. You know, it makes it so you're limited by like belt control, which, I mean, you can be strong and precise, which is usually a trade-off.
Well, you got to ask, why wouldn't everybody in the hydraulic machinery space turn everything up into rabbit? Wouldn't you want to be fast all the time?
Yeah, you tip over. So like you buck or you overshoot, you know, you're underdamped. There's a whole bunch of ways to say it, but I mean, you're basically out of control, right? Like those operators get really good at being the control loop, right?
Yeah.
Like the human in the loop is the way they achieve. Like if you get a chance, you should check out the excavator rodeo. There's one coming up in New Hampshire that I'll be going to at the Deerfield Fairgrounds. So
it shows you that hydraulics can.
There's also one in there's a logging one that's similar, and that's in Freiburg up in Maine. If you ever in the fall,
I do want to come.
It is wild. So
like they run around on the logs and
no, it's like so like skidders and the like Olympics like how you move logging equipment. So not that we digress, but you know, these are all industries. These are all industries that you're touching, and it's incredible to see, you know, one, what humans can actually do in that rabbit mode, as you call it, and then you know what is going to be possible with the implementation and adoption of Beltdraulic.
Athletic. You know, a core value here is athletic,
and you don't have to be an expert driver to achieve athletic capability. Amateur. You turn that all the way up to rabbit, and you don't worry about the thing flipping out on you.
Yeah. Yeah, certainly you spend a lot of time, effort, and energy to come up with a name and be able to simply express exactly what it is that this is solving for with that name. And that's not easy. We spent an equal amount of time on the design of that. And so, Kyle, talk a little bit about that process.
Well, it's kind of an interesting thing where you know, it's a back and forth with the engineers. It's also back and forth with the customers. This new technology has its place, but you can't be artificially jamming a square peg into a round hole. You kind of have to find where our technology is easiest to make that can meet the customer's needs, and the customer needs to maintain it. So where does this technology goes? It goes inside of these machines. And since it's not normally like hydraulics, these machines might have to be of different orientation and shape, and like the way you get access to these actuation points might need a different approach. So like as of late, I'm kind of serving as like the guy roughing where our technology would go with the least amount of effort.
To Kyle's credit though, it wasn't like a one-shot pull.
No.
This thing's had dozens of draft candidate names that get, you know, ground down or polished up. Like it's been a moving target, but I think this one will stand the test of time. I think that our house name RISE is will be associated as the highest quality and the first and the best Beltdraulic. And I think Beltdraulic will go on to be, you know, kind of the house trade name similar to like, you know, Band-Aid brand or Kleenex or the other pioneers of their new category of thing.
Yes. One of the other reasons why naming wise, something that we have to pay attention to is how the names we previously called things either resonates or does not resonate with the people we talk to, our customers who deal with machines, either make them or use them. And weirdly enough, we've been finding out that linear actuation is a word, which up here in Boston is like a very cool word. It's very normal.
Yeah, actuator is hip with the robotics crowd.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, when even kid roboticists are like very excited to learn the word actuator and then use the word actuator. It's a very like specific word to kind of a fancy machine land.
Yeah. Like hydraulic cylinders are actuators, believe it or not.
They are, yeah. So are screws.
Yeah, those are actuators.
There's, I mean, anything that makes motion by transforming power into motion is an actuator.
But once you go into the real spaces where, you know, loggers or construction guys, you know,
Like nice actuator, they're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, like, whoa, watch out, fancy words, you know.
Actuator, look at this guy.
Yeah, it doesn't really serve you too well. I mean, the whole point of
Limited understanding.
Yeah, limited understanding. I mean, you want to convey the idea to the right people most efficiently as possible. And if like we're getting bound up on like,
it's kind of like scientific names, right? Like,
yeah.
Like, do you know the scientific name for a daisy?
A daisy, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't,
know.
right? But someone does. The plant people are very excited because then that tells them which family it's from and who its cousins are, and like it has extra information, but it's too polished.
It's for that audience.
So it'll have two names for sure.
Yeah.
Like it will be a high reduction belt driven block and tackle belt technology. You know, like
Yeah.
another actuator lead.
Yeah.
Named.
And so thinking of names within names, I mean, hydraulics is the broad catch-all name for
compressed fluid.
Yeah.
But once you're inside of that subject matter, there's all these separate components to address different kind of things. Like it's, you know, just like in the realm of electricity, you have an electric circuit, and then within that you might have a capacitor or a resistor or whatever. You know,
You might have a valve or a pump or a
swap out different things depending on what you need. So like accumulators in hydraulics are very important in the construction space because they are the shock absorber. That's what allows hydraulics to bang into things.
Well, and relief valves.
And relief valves, yeah.
Yeah.
You need those two in order to, you know, not blow up your pump, blow up the hoses.
So we have analogs for all this.
Yeah, one-to-one.
So how will Beltdraulic change all that? How will Beltdraulic be that solution for, you know, these operators out in the field that are 100, 500 miles out in the middle of nowhere in, say, Canada, in the, you know, oil fields, trying to repair what they're doing? How do we do that?
Provide the kit, the instructions, the help phone call, video, chat. We can be available. We're going to definitely have to leverage our strategic alliances with manufacturers, distributors, and suppliers to get the coverage of 24-hour parts and service.
The cool thing that Beltdraulics can do uniquely to what hydraulics cannot do is that the belts themselves have metal in it. There's these wire ropes in there that we can electronically monitor. We can see failures occur before they actually occur, so you don't get stuck in the rut in unplanned downtime. And when it does come time to, say, do a field repair, you're out in the middle of nowhere, you know, in a mine shaft, and the machine is really that down. There's a lot of good possibility in which we can quickly swap the belt without having to disassemble the cylinders or the circuits or anything involved.
Yeah.
Just keep it all in place. You know,
We'll be showing videos of that
Yeah,
in due
we'll-
course. You
yeah.
guys will see all the in-field repairs of belts, and that's coming. I mean, it's an early stage technology, and I think it's easy to like look at all the things we haven't done yet. They'll see it at some point. So
Yeah, that's great. I think it's sort of like you don't want to ask the person building their own home when they're moving in. They have all of these other milestones that they're looking for, like roughing plumbing or when the electrical's going in. And here we are establishing a really exciting milestone in our history. And the key takeaway is that we're working on it, and it's going to be available for purchase and early adopters here really soon.
Yep. If you're a machine maker that wants a more productive and efficient alternative to hydraulics, then and you're open to the hallmark challenges associated with commercializing a new technology and refining a product and doing the development to get it towards those, product unit, we're already seeing the merits to being more productive and efficient. So
I'm just so happy to be a small part in this and have the opportunity to make this announcement here on the Rise Inside podcast with you. Congratulations on the success. What else is there that we haven't talked about?
thank you. I think the only other thing that's probably more exciting is some of the next announcement that's coming.
Yeah.
We've really put ourselves in a good spot with our projects and our finances, and so that means that team growth is usually what's next.
Mhm.
And the next thought has been a long time coming.
Yep.
It's quite exciting.
I can't wait. I mean, it's going to be it'll be a neat show for that announcement as well. I'm really looking forward to that. So there's our teaser.
Yes.
Right?
Can't tell you everything all in one show. I mean, this show is
Yes.
really about Beltdraulic, and the next show is more
Future
about
Rise, right?
Yeah.
Well, congratulations, guys. Again, I just want to say thank you for joining me today. Thank you for taking the time to talk through Beltdraulic and this annouement, the milestone here at Rise, and about what's next. I can't wait for our next show.
Yeah, thank you.
Cool. We'll see you again soon, and maybe I'll have to. When's that show up in Maine?
It's the last week of September, first week of October, the Freiburg Fair. It's
Sweet. I'll put it on my calendar. Thank you.
Freiburg Fair. Yeah, it's on the first Monday of the show. So yeah, well, I have to meet you up there and have some good Maine beer. And on behalf of my guests today, Arron Acosta and Kyle Dell'Aquilla, you've been listening to the Rise Inside podcast. Until next time.
You have been listening to the Rise Inside podcast, presented by RISE Robotics. On behalf of our guest today and host Justin Starbird, thank you for listening. Please share your feedback on our LinkedIn page